In this video, I want to share with you guys how to create those super hard-hitting beats, all from scratch in FL Studio. So we are not going to waste any more time. Let's just jump straight in. Alright, so we are now here in FL Studio 21. The first thing we're going to do is go over to the BPM, and I'm actually going to bump this up a little bit. So this time I want to work in a fast tempo. I want our beat to be super fast, super hard-hitting. So we're actually going to go for 165 this time. And now we should pretty much be good to start with the sample. If you are trying to create those hard-hitting trap beats, I highly recommend to start off with a piano. So in this case, I have just opened up this LA Custom C7 studio piano in Omnisphere, and then we are just going to go over to view over here while we are already in the piano roll. And this time we're just going to pick a scale. So in this case, I'll actually go with D sharp minor. So since we are working in the D sharp minor scale, we'll obviously just start off with a D sharp note over here. As you guys might know, I'm trying to go for a little bit more of a darker vibe as well. So that is also why we are starting in the lower octaves down there. Next, let us just layer this note over here with this A sharp. And like I just mentioned, since we are working in the lower octaves, I'm actually also going to copy this root note up one octave as well. Now to fill this chord out a little bit, I'm also going to add this G sharp, but again, I'm going to pitch this up one octave. Now just make sure to hit Alt and S on your keyboard to strum the notes so they sound a little bit more realistic. And now we should pretty much have a super hard and dark sounding chord. Yeah, so that is definitely the vibe we're going for. Now, obviously, it is sounding a little bit too dark, so we for sure need to build off of this over here in a little bit of these higher octaves. So since D sharp is our root note, I feel like we can also start off with a D sharp over here on the top. So let us quickly just add in this one, and we can also extend this out a little bit. And now to really create that movement in our pattern, we want to focus on adding some more notes in this range right here. So what I'm actually going to do in this case is that I'm actually just going to play around with these 4 notes over here. So as you guys can see, they are all half steps, meaning notes that are right next to each other inside of the scale. So we're literally just going to work with these 4 notes and really just try to create a cool little pattern that has some more movement. So I pretty much just copied the same exact pattern over on the last 2 bars over here. And the reason for this is that you actually want to make sure that your patterns are super repetitive. Now, although you want them repetitive, I'm not going to have them identical. So I'm going to do a few changes over here just to switch up the pattern a little bit. Yeah, now we can just copy the whole thing over. So as you guys can see, you don't really have to go overboard with the changes. You can just add a few notes here and there just to switch up the pattern ever so slightly, so it still has that same repetitive vibe, but it is still sounding a little bit different as well. Now for the effects, I'm just starting off with a little bit of crystallizer. Just give us that reverse sound in the background. We're also going to add this portal preset right here. It's from the upcoming Mirage Bank. Sounds crazy. Lastly, I'm just adding this EQ as well, cutting out those super harsh frequencies down below. Alright, now that we have our main pattern, the next step is to add some sort of ambient pad in the background, just so we can really fill out and emphasize the whole piano pattern. So for that exact pad, I have just opened up this backwards thoughts preset in Omnisphere. The only change I did from this one was that I actually went from the first scene to the second one over here, just because it has a little bit of a cleaner sound to it. Now this preset is sounding pretty strong, so I don't actually want to copy the same exact pattern. I am actually only going to add 2 small notes over here, the 2 exact same we have in our piano pattern. Now I want to do something a little bit unique for this part, so I'm actually going to lay down a note over here and here as well. These 2 I'm going to shorten all the way like this, and I'm just going to pitch them up maybe 2 octaves. Then we can just copy the same exact pattern over for all 4 bars, and let's take a listen to how this sounds. Yeah, so it's really giving us that greedy dark vibe. So for the effects on the pad, I quickly just added a little bit of noise suppression using this NS1 plugin. I feel like just there was a little bit too much noise on that pad, so I just added a little bit of this plugin to kind of remove that noise in the background. Then we also have some roam just to give the pad even more ambience. And lastly, we have a little bit of a high cut EQ to remove some of those harsh frequencies. Alright, now we have 2 pretty important parts for the sample, but now to really finish the whole thing off, we need to add a proper counter melody. As for the counter melody in this case, I've just opened up this gypsy romantic violin from Balkan Ethnic Orchestra. This was probably one of the most popular presets back in the day, but I haven't actually seen a lot of people using this recently, and I also haven't used this in a while myself, so I thought this violin preset right here would be perfect for this type of beat. As for the pattern, again, we're just going to focus on these half steps over here, and we're just going to try to create something that flows nicely with our main pattern over here. And then for the second part, we're going to switch it up a little bit and try to make it even more catchy. have this harp pattern right here. Alright, now that we don't have the violin playing, I just added 2 quick phrases to really emphasize and finish off the whole sample. Alright, now that we have the whole sample finished, let's quickly add some drums. As for the drum sounds I'm using, they are of course coming from my Euphoria bundle kit. So if you guys like the drum sounds you hear, you can obviously check them out. They are on my website, it is BBMarko.com, or you guys can just click the first link down below. So we're just starting off with a simple clap pattern right here. Copy that over. Now I actually want to do something a little bit different to finish this off. So on this last bar over here, I'm actually just going to copy this over. And then we can just copy it over one more time. But I'm going to play a little bit around with the velocity on these last 2. Now let's also go in and add some hi-hats. Alright, so we also have a pretty crazy hi-hat pattern going on. As you can see, we kind of just have a 2-step with a little bit of a lower hi-hat pattern in between. And then we also just add some fancy rolls down here just to get some of that low end from the hi-hat as well. This goes crazy. Alright, before we add the 808, we just want to finish off the whole drum bounce with a few perks and snares. Yeah, this is fire right now. Yeah, so we're just putting in that kick pattern. We're just gonna layer this with the 808. Yeah, so we're pretty much just layering the 808 with the kick, but I will actually go in here and put this 808 hit a little bit before the kick hits right there. Now I will just quickly rearrange the whole thing and then I'll show you guys the final beat. Alright, so here we have the full thing. Trust me, once I hit space on my keyboard, this one is gonna go crazy. This is so hard.
Shut up, Marko. Marko.
Slows down. And it kicks in again. Switch up the vibe over here a little bit. Other piano melody come in. We'll bring back the violin. Yeah, this is so hard. Here we take out the drums. Leave a lot of space, just the melody flowing. And we bring it back.